can't borrow my car.
I want to borrow your car.
Great.
He's a lieutenant in the Navy.
Oh, boy. Navy man. Can't go wrong with that.
You have to bring him by the...
And Mr. Cosby, you call him Mr. Cosby, don't you?
Call him Bill.
Do you really? Did he give you a nice gift?
No.
Not a gift at all?
He didn't give me anything.
Oh.
But that's okay.
Lisa Bonet wasn't just the rebel on The Cosby Show. She was the warning sign we all missed. Behind the smiles and sweaters, she saw something darker, long before the world caught on. From Bonet sensing a sinister energy from Cosby years before allegations surfaced.
And he just pulls off that kind of regular guy character with an edge, so I think a lot of people can relate to him, men can relate to him.
To cast members admitting there was an open secret about Cosby's behavior.
I think like a lot of people, I was really giving Bill the benefit of the doubt. This was not the man that I knew. This is not the man that I worked with.
And Bonet being pushed out of the show after refusing to conform to Cosby's controlled environment. So, how did America's favorite TV dad manage to hide his double life for so long? Let's uncover the truth that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. In 1984, television didn't know what to do with a strong, stylish black family that didn't fit the mold. Most shows either ignored black characters or boxed them into tired stereotypes. So when Bill Cosby, already a beloved figure from Stand Up and I Spy, pitched a sitcom about an upper-middle-class black family, it felt groundbreaking. Cosby had one goal: to reshape how America saw black households. No more poverty storylines, no more dysfunction. Just a clean, wholesome version of black excellence. NBC, hungry for a hit, gave him something rare: full creative control. That meant Cosby wasn't just the star, he was in charge of everything. Then came The Cosby Show.
This thing can sell anything. But you must also remember that this grows.
Cosby cast himself as Dr. Cliff Huxtable, a goofy but wise OBGYN, with Felicia Rashad as his sharp, elegant wife, Claire. They lived in a Brooklyn brownstone with 5 kids, and they tackled family problems with humor, love, and a little lecture at the end of every episode. This wasn't just a sitcom, it was a cultural reset. Each child had their role. Sandra was the overachiever. Theo was the lovable troublemaker. Vanessa fought to be heard. And Rudy was the adorable scene stealer. But one daughter stood out for different reasons: Denise.
Martin's told me twice that his mother can't stand me.
Played by Lisa Bonet, Denise was the rebel. She wore layered clothes, had untamed curls, and brought an edge that the rest of the cast didn't have. She was unpredictable, creative, and effortlessly cool. Viewers couldn't take their eyes off her. She became a style icon, a personality blueprint for young girls everywhere. Denise Huxtable wasn't just a character, she was a movement. Behind the scenes, everything looked just as polished. The cast said Cosby ran a disciplined set, strict but nurturing. He coached them like a professor of comedy. Ratings were astronomical. The network was thriving, and The Cosby Show became a symbol of what TV could be when black stories were centered and respected. Awards flooded in: Emmys, Golden Globes, NAACP Image Awards. Critics praised the show. Parents trusted it. Schools even used it as a teaching tool. For a moment, it felt like Cosby had created a new American dream. But even dreams cast shadows.
Hey,
I'm
yes.
gonna bring somebody over to play.
Who?
My boyfriend.
What the public didn't see was the tension quietly building behind the scenes, especially between Cosby and Lisa Bonet. She was growing into her own power, attracting attention far beyond the show. And Cosby didn't like that. Lisa didn't fit neatly into the image he wanted to protect. She didn't stay quiet. She didn't conform. And slowly, she became a problem, not because of bad behavior, but because she refused to play by his rules. The control Cosby had over the show wasn't just about scripts and camera angles. It extended to the cast's personal lives, especially the young women. And Lisa, as bold and independent as she was, started pushing back. At the time, nobody talked about it. Not on set, not in interviews. But now, looking back with fresh eyes, the pattern is hard to ignore. What we saw as a perfect TV family was actually hiding secrets so dark they wouldn't fully surface for decades. Because while The Cosby Show gave America its ideal household, Lisa Bonet was quietly signaling that something wasn't right. And no one was listening. By 1987, The Cosby Show was still on top of the world. The Huxtables were household names. The network was booming. And Bill Cosby, he was more than just a comedian. He was a cultural icon, a symbol of clean entertainment and family values. But behind that polished image, something was shifting. And it started with Lisa Bonet. She was just 19 then, still playing Denise Huxtable, still showing up every Thursday night in her oversized sweaters and unpredictable energy.
It's my money in my bank account in my name. You're acting like I'm asking you for your money.
To audiences, Denise was the free spirit of the Huxtable clan. Quirky, lovable, a little rebellious, but still within the safety of Cosby's carefully controlled world. But Lisa Bonet, the actress behind her, was already miles ahead of the role. She wasn't trying to act grown. She was grown, and she was ready to show it. That same year, Lisa made a career move that changed everything. She signed on to star in Angel Heart, a dark, supernatural thriller opposite Mickey Rourke.
Look, we don't go around murdering people, all right, Mr. Angel? What about your Johnny Favorite?
The film was nothing like The Cosby Show. It was gritty and intense. Lisa's character, Epiphany Proudfoot, was central to the movie's most disturbing themes. There was violence, blood, and a controversial love scene with Rourke that nearly got the movie banned. Censors forced it to be re-edited to avoid an X rating. For audiences who still saw her as Denise Huxtable, it was jarring. For Cosby, it was infuriating. Lisa wasn't just stepping outside the box, she was demolishing it. Her photo shoot for Interview magazine, semi-nude, raw, and unapologetic, only added fuel to the fire. This wasn't a Cosby Kid move. It was the exact opposite. And Cosby took it personally. To him, it wasn't just a creative difference. It was a threat. He had built The Cosby Show as a model of black respectability, a clean, safe image for white and black America alike. Lisa's choices didn't fit that brand. And worse, she wasn't asking for permission. The conflict between them escalated quickly. There were whispers of fights, of icy silence on set, of Cosby accusing Lisa of being difficult. She arrived late sometimes. She pushed back. She had thoughts of her own. But it went deeper than that. Cosby didn't want her evolving. He wanted her obedient. And Lisa was done being managed. In public, they kept it civil. Cosby blamed growing pains. Lisa talked about creative freedom. But underneath, a real battle was forming. Lisa had outgrown the show and Cosby's grip. Then something strange happened. Cosby gave her a spin-off, A Different World, which followed Denise to college. On the surface, it looked like a gift, a new chapter, a chance for Lisa to lead her own show.
Stand behind me, come what may.
It looked like the perfect solution. Lisa could grow as an actress, and Cosby could keep her close. But keeping her close was the key. Even though A Different World was technically Lisa's show, Cosby still pulled the strings. He picked the showrunners. He picked the writers. He picked the cast. Lisa was the face of it, but Cosby was the architect. She hadn't escaped the system. She had just moved to a different room in the same house. The first season kicked off strong. Ratings were great, thanks in part to being sandwiched between The Cosby Show and Cheers on NBC's Thursday night lineup. People were excited to follow Denise's next chapter. But behind the scenes, Lisa was growing frustrated. She wanted to push the show into deeper territory. Storylines about identity, class, real college struggles. She pitched ideas. She challenged scripts. She wanted the show to reflect real life. But her ideas were often shot down. The show needed to stay light, fun, family-friendly, just like Cosby wanted. The more she pushed for creative freedom, the more friction she created. And it was clear that not even a spin-off could fix the fundamental divide between her and Cosby. What started as a mentor-protege relationship had turned into a quiet standoff. Everyone around them could feel it. This wasn't going to last. By the end of A Different World's first season, the question wasn't if something was going to change, it was when. The family America had invited into their homes every Thursday night was beginning to unravel. Not in the scripts, but in real life, and Lisa Bonet was just the beginning. By the end of the first season of A Different World, the tension behind the scenes had grown too loud to ignore. Lisa Bonet had already stirred the waters with her daring artistic choices, her refusal to be boxed in, and her rising fame outside the world of The Cosby Show. But in 1988, she made a personal announcement that would rock her career and completely change the trajectory of her character, Denise Huxtable. Lisa revealed that she was pregnant with her first child. She was 20 years old, newly married to rock musician Lenny Kravitz, and preparing to become a mother. It was joyful news in her real life, but on set, it sparked panic. A Different World had only just found its rhythm. The show was designed as a lighthearted look at college life, following Denise as she learned how to grow up away from her wealthy Brooklyn family. The tone was young, optimistic, and aspirational. A pregnancy storyline didn't fit, not for what the network had envisioned, and especially not for what Bill Cosby wanted the show to represent. A college student dealing with motherhood could have opened the door to powerful storytelling, but Cosby didn't want complexity. He wanted control.
And I said to him, I explained to him how I wanted to use it on the show, because that would be a great thing to see a girl who's upper class kid, having a baby, not married.
Behind closed doors, producers debated the options. Could Denise raise a baby while going to school? Could they hide Bonet's pregnancy with creative camera angles and baggy clothing? Or did this mean they'd have to send her character away, at least temporarily? Cosby quickly made the call. Rather than adjust the story to accommodate her real life, he pulled Bonet off A Different World altogether. The official statement said it was for creative reasons, and that Denise was needed back on The Cosby Show. But insiders knew better. This was about reining Lisa back in, about putting her back under Cosby's watchful eye after what he saw as too much independence. When she returned to The Cosby Show, things were noticeably off. The character of Denise, who had just begun her journey as a college student, was suddenly back at home, with barely an explanation. She'd taken a break from school, the show claimed, but never said why or for how long. No mention of what happened at Hillman College. No reflection on the growth she'd experienced there. Writers struggled to integrate her into storylines that made sense. Her presence felt tacked on, and her screen time was reduced even further after she gave birth to her daughter Zoe in December 1988. As the show moved into new seasons, Lisa became more of a background player, occasionally appearing, but rarely driving any major plots. By 1991, the situation was falling apart. Bonet officially left the show. The press release was brief and cold. NBC thanked her for her contributions and offered no further comment. Then came the problem. What to do with Denise Huxtable? That's when The Cosby Show introduced a sudden, last-minute development. Out of nowhere, viewers were told that Denise had gotten married to a Navy man named Martin Kendall. His character hadn't been deeply developed, nor had their relationship been shown on screen in any real way. Now, Denise was not just married, but also a stepmother to Martin's young daughter, Olivia. To longtime fans, this felt like a jarring turn. Denise had always been the free spirit, the wanderer, the one who questioned tradition. Marriage? A stepchild? Living overseas on a naval base? None of it aligned with what the audience had come to know about her. The writers seemed to know it too, because rather than explore this sudden marriage, they used it as a way to write her out. Denise was said to be accompanying Martin to Japan, where he was stationed with the U.S. Navy. With that one sentence, her storyline ended. No heartfelt goodbye, no big farewell episode, just gone. Even more telling was her absence from the 1992 series finale. Every major cast member returned for the emotional send-off, except Lisa Bonet. She was the only one missing. No mention of her character, no appearance in flashbacks, no final goodbye. After Denise Huxtable was quietly written off the show, married off to a Navy man and sent overseas, viewers were left puzzled. But behind the curtain, it wasn't just about storylines or creative differences. Lisa Bonet's quiet exit now seems less like a sudden plot decision and more like a carefully veiled retreat. Because as her absence grew more permanent, so too did whispers of an uncomfortable truth about the man who created The Cosby Show and the dark energy she had vaguely alluded to. Years later, in 2015, those whispers broke into the open. Joseph C. Phillips, who played Martin Kendall, Denise's on-screen husband, would become one of the few cast members to speak out publicly. In a candid and now deleted blog post titled, "Of Course, Bill Cosby is Guilty," Phillips dropped a bombshell. What had once been murmured in corners of the set had been, in his words, an open secret. According to Phillips, Cosby's infidelity wasn't hidden, it was ambient. Bill sleeping around was a fact that, like the air, seemed to just be. You didn't have to see it or hear it to know it existed. Phillips admitted that he had once brushed it off as personal indiscretion, failing to understand the severity of what he was hearing, until it was too late. One moment in particular stuck with him. A woman, someone Phillips described as a friend who had worked with the show, confided in him that she had been drugged and assaulted by Cosby. She wasn't alone. Her story, painful and clear, would later echo almost identically in the accounts of more than 60 women spanning decades. Phillips wrote with guilt, "I felt for my friend, for the violation of her trust, loyalty, and body." But the truth wasn't just whispered in private conversations. It seeped through the set. Young actors, production staff, and guest stars alike operated in an environment where Cosby's power was absolute and his whims were unquestioned. There was no safe path for speaking out, especially for someone like Lisa Bonet, whose very spirit seemed at odds with Cosby's increasingly suffocating control. The more Lisa stepped into her own identity, artistic, bold, unafraid, the more friction arose. She wasn't just inconvenient to the brand Cosby had built, she was a threat to it. And what many now recognize is that her forced departure may not have been solely about her creative choices or even her pregnancy. It may have been about removing someone who saw too much.
And he just pulls off that kind of regular guy character with an edge, so I think a lot of people can relate to him, men can relate to him.
Reports from that era have since revealed Cosby's obsession with controlling his image at all costs. In one disturbing case, he allegedly leaked a damaging story to the tabloids about his own daughter Erin's drug use, just to keep the National Enquirer from publishing a story tying him to partying with Sammy Davis Jr. and Vegas showgirls. One Enquirer staffer later said, "My editor told me that Daddy Cosby was the source. He ratted out his flesh and blood." It was a chilling trade, his daughter's reputation, in exchange for his own protection. This obsessive image maintenance extended to the studio lot. Former crew members now recall strict access protocols, closed-door meetings in Cosby's dressing room, and the selective casting of young female guest stars who were quickly ushered into private conversations. No one dared to question it then. Cosby was NBC's golden goose. Careers depended on staying in his good graces. It's no wonder Bonet kept her distance. Anyway, when the world started hearing serious allegations about Bill Cosby back in 2014 and 2015, the cast of The Cosby Show found themselves caught in the middle of a storm they never saw coming. For years, they'd played America's favorite TV family. They laughed together, worked together, and in many ways grew up together in front of millions of viewers. But now, the man they once saw as a mentor or even a father figure was being accused of things that completely shattered that image. And just like that, everyone was forced to figure out where they stood. Some cast members defended him right away. Others stayed quiet. A few spoke carefully, choosing their words with visible caution. But no matter what they said or didn't say, one thing was clear: there was no easy answer. Let's start with Phylicia Rashad. She played the iconic Claire Huxtable, a character full of strength, grace, and intelligence. Off-screen, she was one of Cosby's most loyal supporters. When asked about the allegations in 2015, she famously told a reporter, "Forget these women." Later, she said her words were taken out of context, but the message still sparked backlash. Then, in 2021, when Cosby was released from prison after his conviction was overturned, Rashad tweeted in celebration, "Finally! A terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected." But that tweet didn't go over well, especially since Rashad had just become the dean of Howard University's College of Fine Arts. The university had to step in and clarify that her personal views didn't reflect Howard's official stance. Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played Theo, took a more measured approach. In a 2015 interview, he talked about how heartbreaking it was to see The Cosby Show's legacy fall apart. For years, he said, the show helped fight negative stereotypes about black families on TV. And now, we don't have that anymore. When he went on The Real in 2016, he summed up his feelings like this: "I'm in no position to defend him because I can't. But nor will I throw him under the bus."
My biggest feeling is I feel sad for, just the way this whole, just the way the whole story has come about.
You could hear the struggle in his voice. He was clearly torn between the man he knew and the stories now coming to light. Then there was Kesha Knight Pulliam. Everyone remembers her as Little Rudy. In 2015, she told Today that the allegations didn't match her experience with Cosby. She said, "That was never my experience with him." And during Cosby's 2017 trial, she even walked into court by his side. But she was quick to add that her support wasn't about agreeing with everything he may or may not have done. It was just her showing up for someone she once saw as a TV dad. Some cast members didn't say anything at all. Sabrina LaBeouf, Tempest Bledsoe, and Raven Simonet all stayed quiet. Maybe it was to protect their privacy. Maybe it was because they knew any comment would be picked apart from all sides. Whatever the reason, their silence spoke just as loudly as anyone else's statement. And then there was Lisa Bonet. For years, Lisa didn't speak publicly about the allegations, even as her name kept showing up in tabloid headlines. Rumors swirled about her early exit from the show and supposed tensions with Cosby, but she didn't feed into it. Finally, in 2018, she opened up, just a little. In an interview with Porter magazine, she said, "I don't need to say, 'I told you so.' I just leave all that to karma and justice, but I knew enough." When asked if she ever sensed something dark about Cosby, her answer was immediate. Always. She wasn't angry. She wasn't dramatic. Her tone was calm, resigned even. But her words hit hard. "If I had anything more to reveal, then it would have happened a long time ago," she said. "That's my nature. The truth will set you free." Lisa's quiet distance from The Cosby Show now felt like more than just creative differences. Looking back, it almost felt like her silence was its own kind of statement. Not one of revenge, but one of self-protection. And in that one sentence, I knew enough. She gave more insight than a press conference ever could. In any case, The Cosby Show gave America a new image of black excellence. But behind the laughs, the sweaters, and the fatherly advice, there was something much darker lurking. For Lisa Bonet, her early exit doesn't just look like creative differences anymore. It looks like intuition, like survival. While the rest of the world was still clapping for Cliff Huxtable, she was quietly stepping away from something she clearly didn't trust. That's not rebellion. That's self-protection. In 2018, Cosby was found guilty, and even though his conviction was overturned in 2021, the damage to his victims, to his legacy, and to the people who once called him America's dad was already done. In the end, The Cosby Show's darkest secrets were never just about what one man did. They were about how much people were willing to ignore, to protect a legacy, a reputation, or a dream that never really belonged to them in the first place. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.